The marble floor of Adebayo Industries gleamed under the morning sun as Chidi Okonkwo adjusted his expensive silk tie in the elevator mirror. His tailored Italian suit hugged his frame perfectly, and his leather shoes clicked with authority as he stepped into the executive floor. He had worked 5 grueling years to become the regional sales director, and today he was finally meeting the mysterious CEO who had been abroad for months. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. The conference room doors swung open, and Chidi's confident smile froze on his face. His heart stopped. His breath caught in his throat. Walking into the room in an immaculate charcoal suit was a face he knew too well, a face that haunted his conscience every single night. It was Emeka. The same Emeka he had laughed at just 3 weeks ago. The same Emeka he had pushed away on the dirty streets of Lagos. The same Emeka whose outstretched hand he had slapped away while his colleagues watched and laughed. The homeless man in torn clothes begging for help. The childhood friend he had betrayed. And now, Emeka stood before him as the CEO of the entire company. Their eyes met across the room. Chidi felt the blood drain from his face. His knees went weak. Emeka's expression was unreadable, calm, powerful. The other executives around the table had no idea of the history between these two men, no idea that their prestigious director had once spat on this man's shadow. "Good morning, everyone." Emeka's voice was smooth, commanding. "I believe some of you are meeting me for the first time today." His gaze lingered on Chidi for just a moment too long. "Let's begin." Chidi wanted to run. He wanted to disappear. But his feet were frozen to the ground. How did this happen? How did the broken man he had abandoned become the one person who now controlled his entire future? And 3 weeks earlier, Chidi had been having the best week of his life. He had just closed a deal worth millions of naira, his boss praised him in front of the entire sales team, and he was driving his brand new Mercedes through the bustling streets of Victoria Island. Life was perfect. His phone rang. It was his colleague, Tund, inviting him to lunch at their favorite spot near the marina. Chidi agreed, already imagining the envious looks he would get when he pulled up in his new car. As he parked and stepped out, adjusting his designer sunglasses, he heard a voice that made his blood run cold. "Chidi? Chidi Okonkwo? Is that really you?" He turned to see a thin man in ragged clothes approaching him. The man's face was weathered, his shirt torn and stained, his feet wrapped in worn-out rubber sandals. But those eyes, Chidi recognized those eyes immediately. "Emeka?" Chidi whispered, his voice filled with shock and something else, disgust. "My brother. It's been so long." Emeka's face lit up with genuine joy despite his obvious suffering. "I can't believe it's you. Chidi, we grew up together in Enugu. We were like brothers. Do you remember?" Chidi remembered everything. They had been inseparable as boys, sharing dreams under the mango tree in their village, promising to always help each other no matter what. But that was before Chidi escaped poverty, before he reinvented himself, before he became someone important. "Please, Chidi, I've fallen on very hard times," Emeka continued, his voice cracking with emotion. "I've been on the streets for weeks. I just need some help to get back on my feet. Maybe some money for food, or you could help me find some work. Anything, my brother. Please." Chidi looked around. Some of his colleagues were already gathering near the restaurant entrance, watching. Tun was there, smirking. This was a disaster. If they knew he came from the same village as this beggar, if they knew about his poor background, everything he had built would crumble. "I don't know you," Chidi said coldly. Emeka's smile faltered.
"What?"
"Chidi, it's me. Emeka Okafor. We played football together every day. Your mother and my mother were best friends. You said we would always be brothers." "I said I don't know you." Chidi's voice rose sharply. "Stop harassing me, you filthy beggar." The words cut through the air like a knife. Emeka stood frozen, disbelief washing over his face. Around them, Chidi's colleagues began to laugh. Tund pulled out his phone, recording. "My friend, chase this dirty man away." Tund shouted, still laughing. "These street people have no shame." Emeka reached out one more time, desperation in his eyes. "Chidi, please. I'm not asking for much. Just remember who we were. Now, sitting in that conference room, those words echoed in Chidi's mind like thunder. I understand. I truly understand now. What had Emeka understood? And why was he here, commanding the respect of every executive in the building? The meeting began, but Chidi couldn't focus on a single word. His mind was racing, trying to make sense of the impossible situation. Emeka presented the company's new vision with confidence and intelligence, his voice never wavering. He spoke about expansion into new markets, about integrity in business, about the importance of character over profit. You see, Emeka said, his eyes sweeping across the room, I believe that how we treat people when they have nothing reveals who we truly are. Success is not just about money or position. It's about remaining human. Chidi felt those words pierce through him like arrows. Was Emeka talking to everyone, or directly to him? The meeting ended, and as everyone filed out, Emeka's voice cut through the shuffling. Mr. Okonkwo, please stay behind. I need a word with you. Chidi's colleagues gave him curious glances as they left. Tund whispered, Good luck, man. First private meeting with the CEO. You must have impressed him. If only they knew. The door clicked shut, and suddenly the enormous conference room felt suffocatingly small. It was just the two of them now. Chidi stood awkwardly, unable to meet Emeka's gaze. Sit down, Chidi, Emeka said, his tone unreadable. Chidi sat, his expensive suit suddenly feeling like paper. The silence stretched between them like an ocean. Finally, Emeka spoke. I imagine you have many questions. Emeka, Chidi's voice cracked.
I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry.
I was wrong. I was terrible. I don't deserve to. Emeka raised his hand, stopping him. Let me tell you a story first. 3 years ago, I was exactly where you saw me, homeless, broken, with nothing.
But I wasn't always that way.
I had built a successful tech startup in Abuja. We developed software that caught the attention of international investors. I was doing well, very well. Chidi listened, stunned. Then my business partner betrayed me. Emeka continued, his voice steady but heavy with old pain. He stole everything, used legal tricks I didn't understand, and left me with nothing but debt. I lost my company, my home, my savings. I was too ashamed to return to our village, so I drifted to Lagos, hoping to start over. But starting over with nothing is harder than starting for the first time. I had no idea, Chidi whispered. Of course you didn't.
You didn't ask.
You just assumed. Emeka stood and walked to the window, looking out over Lagos. Those weeks on the street taught me more about human nature than all my years of success. Most people looked through me as if I were invisible. Some were cruel. A very few were kind. He turned back to Chidi. One of those kind people was Mr. Adebayo, the founder of this company. He found me outside his church one Sunday. Instead of walking past, he sat with me. He listened to my story. He saw not what I had become, but what I could be again. Chidi felt tears stinging his eyes. He gave me a chance, helped me rebuild. I proved my worth, and when his health failed, he made me CEO before he passed. He taught me that true wealth isn't in your bank account, it's in your character. That's what I had forgotten when I had my first success. That's what I remembered when I lost everything. Emeka walked closer, his presence overwhelming. Now, Chidi, let me ask you something. Chidi didn't sleep that night. He sat in his expensive apartment, surrounded by all the things his success had bought him, the leather furniture, the flat-screen television, the artwork on the walls, and felt emptier than he had ever felt in his life. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Emeka's face, both the desperate hope from 3 weeks ago and the calm authority from today. At 8:30 the next morning, Chidi stood outside Emeka's office, his palms sweating despite the air conditioning. He had rehearsed 1,000 apologies, but none of them felt adequate for the betrayal he had committed. Come in, Emeka's voice called after Chidi knocked. The office was elegant, but not ostentatious. On the wall hung a photograph of an older man, Mr. Adebayo, smiling warmly. Next to it was a simple wooden plaque that read, "Character is doing the right thing when nobody is watching." Sit, Chidi, Emeka said, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. Chidi sat, and the words he had prepared tumbled out. Emeka, I recognized you immediately that day. I knew exactly who you were, and I chose to pretend I didn't. I was afraid. Afraid that my colleagues would discover where I came from, that they would know I grew up poor, that I wasn't always this person I've created. But that's no excuse. What I did was unforgivable. His voice broke. You were my brother, Emeka. We made promises under that mango tree. You shared your food with me when my family had nothing. Your mother nursed me when I was sick. And when you needed me most, I treated you worse than a stranger. I treated you like you were nothing. Tears rolled down Chidi's cheeks, and for the first time in years, he didn't try to hide them. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't deserve to work here. I don't deserve anything. But I need you to know that I am deeply, truly sorry. Not because you're the CEO, but because I betrayed everything I was raised to be. Emeka listened in silence, his face unreadable. When Chidi finished, the silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Emeka spoke. Do you know what I learned on those streets, Chidi? I learned that rock bottom is actually a solid foundation on which to rebuild your life. I learned that losing everything material doesn't mean losing everything that matters. And I learned that the people who kick you when you're down are often the ones running from their own fears. He leaned forward. I was angry with you, Chidi. Very angry. But I was also angry with myself. Angry that I had let circumstances break me to the point where I was begging on the streets. Angry that I had forgotten my own worth. You reminded me, in the cruelest way possible, that I needed to reclaim myself. Emeka opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. This is your employment file. Your performance has been exceptional. Your sales numbers are among the best in the company. By every professional metric, you are valuable to this organization. Chidi's heart pounded. But I don't build my company on professional metrics alone. I build it on character. Emeka's eyes hardened. So here's what's going to happen. You're not fired, Chidi. But you're not staying as regional sales director either. Chidi's stomach dropped. Starting Monday, you're being transferred to our community outreach division. You'll be working with homeless shelters, job training programs, and reintegration initiatives across Lagos. Your salary will be cut by 40%. You'll be on the streets again, Chidi, but this time, you'll be helping people instead of stepping over them. Emeka stood. You'll do this for 1 year. If, at the end of that year, you've shown me that you've rediscovered the boy who made promises under the mango tree, we'll talk about your future in this company. If not, you'll be asked to leave. Do you accept these terms? Chidi's mind reeled. Part of him wanted to protest, to argue that this was too harsh. But a deeper part of him, the part that still remembered who he used to be, knew this was more mercy than he deserved. I accept, he said firmly. Thank you, Emeka. I won't let you down. Don't do it for me, Emeka replied. Do it for yourself. Do it for the next person who falls and needs a hand up instead of a foot pushing them down. As Chidi stood to leave, Emeka called out one more time. And Chidi? About Tund and the others who laughed that day. They're being called in for diversity and sensitivity training. What they did, what you all did, it reveals a culture I won't tolerate in my company. We're all accountable for creating the environment we work in. Chidi nodded, understanding. 6 months later, Chidi stood in a community center in Ajagunal, helping a young man named Taiwo fill out a job application. Taiwo had been home